And now, coming to you from the Pensado Media Center, powered by Westlake Pro.
Part 2 with rock legend Kenny Aronoff. 1 week away from the Pensado IK Multimedia Sweepstakes. Blackbird Academy classes open and filling up fast. And a new Groove 3 ITL from the Master Blaster. You're at the place. It's Pensado's place.
Hey everybody, great to have you with us again this week. Lots of cool stuff. Can you tell I'm a little tiny bit tired today?
No,
My voice sounds like weird.
It's just, it's part of being a creative savant. that's really what it is. It's just being artistic.
Yeah.
Correct? Or just bone weary. One of the two.
Man.
You've had a lot of mixes. You probably hate your manager, don't you?
No.
You've been kind of like Django Unchained.
I have a flaw in my personality. I evaluate my life based on my work. So my work is good, my life is good. When my work is not good, and whenever I have a gap in my schedule, I always go, is this where it's going to end? Is this the beginning of it all? Is this the first,
And see, from a management perspective, that's an asset. So
Oh, it is?
Keep working. Keep working, Iron Man. Shall we get going?
Let's do it.
Good. Hey, family, always great to see you, spend time with you. We trust your week was good. Thank you for your likes and subscribes and your support. It counts a lot to us. Also, big thanks to our awesome partners. They are the Blackbird Academy, Westlake Pro, Avid, DTS, Lander, Recording Connection, Fab Factory, and Studio 202 DC. Next week, your chance to win these ridiculous iLoud micro monitors from IK Multimedia.
Ridiculous is the word.
Aren't they ridiculous?
Those little bastards are amazing.
Let me tell you something. I had Chongor hide them in my house, and man, I need no other speakers. Like it's just they are just amazing.
Bob Horn is mixing on them. I'm mixing on them.
Is that right?
Yeah, they're amazing.
They're amazing. So as I was going to say, these babies absolutely rock. They really do. Don't take it from me, take it from him. Yeah. Incredible for home studios. You see what Dave sees, you see what I feel. Details of this campaign next week. You want to sign up for that.
Yeah.
Also, so you want to learn audio, you say. You want to get educated. You want to land a gig. You want to make some dough. Then here's what you do. Hit up the second-ranked school in all of audio, the incredible Blackbird Academy, VA benefits, international accreditation, Learn Studio, Learn Live, placement service, amazing teachers. They have it all, and you deserve it all. If you're going to write a check and make that move, you're going to get teaching at the highest level. We tell you, hit karma at theblackbirdacademy.com or go to their website for all the info you need. Tell them Pensado sent you. What you should do is come on, join Dave and me and our guest in this great and growing space called audio. You will be happy we referred you. Now, want to meet somebody?
Yeah.
All right. He's the horny Hungarian who drives a hot hoopty. His mom and daddy named him
I don't know.
I was searching, but I do pretty good, right?
Pretty good. I think the last week might have been a little better, but
I'm limited to the letter 8. So I mean, after
I haven't heard
209
hoopty
episodes,
since the war.
and we'll have to. Hoopty means car. Hoopty was cool when we were young.
Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Yeah, exactly.
now it's a whip.
So we got now it's whip, but that starts with a W.
Doesn't work.
You could be hip, driving your whip, but that's another story. Part 2. I'm still kind of reeling from part 1.
Such a good show.
Right?
It was so good, and all the comments online
Kenny
is just
are just crazy.
People love the show.
Kenny, wow.
That's it. Wow.
Yeah, that's all you can do. And then this week we got Corner Office, and what else do we have in there? We have, I think we have Batter's Box in there.
Yeah, we do.
A Kenny Aronoff Batter's Box.
Wow.
Serious Batter's Box.
It's a
so you
musical
want to
one.
tune in and catch that. Good stuff, correct? Yeah, I mean, we're all...
I learned a lot.
Yeah, it was really exciting. On a serious note, before you introduce the ITL, talk to me about London and what happened to one of our folks.
One of the things that I know is dear and near to your heart is how we've built a community. Built might be too strong a word. We've been a focal point for the community to gravitate around, gravitate towards. And when one of our own goes down, we take care of them, you know what I'm saying? And we lost one last week on Wednesday, the 22nd. You read about the terror attack in London, and the guy that was on his anniversary walking with his wife down the bridge and got knocked off by the terrorist, he died, and he owned a studio in Utah. He's one of us, and
What's his name?
his name is Kurt Cochran, and his wife's name is Melissa. His studio is called Onion Street Studios. It's in Bountiful, Utah, and they need little help. So there's a GoFundMe page that you can check out, and she's still in the hospital.
Okay.
I know she was still in the hospital Sunday,
Okay.
and she needs help.
Okay.
We should remember Kurt. He was a very generous man. I didn't know him personally, but his reputation was just come over and record. Whatever you need to do, we'll get it done. And he wasn't all about the money. He helped a lot of people, a consummate professional, and Melissa was involved too. So that's what we do. We look after our own.
Yeah, and so guys, you know what that means. Like you did for David Plataleros, like you've done in other things, step up, do what you can, $5 counts.
Yeah.
Even if it's just your sentiment, send up a prayer. But we want to be, as you said, the stewards of your great power. You've seen what happens when we coalesce. You guys are the power, not us. We're the stewards.
Yeah.
And so, let alone doing that for the family that was so affected and for one of our own, but make a patriotic statement, even if you're not from here, that we're going to reject that kind of behavior.
Yeah.
Correct?
Correct.
Introduce her ITL, sir. Good stuff, Dave, by the way.
Thank you. It's about samples, so you'll see what it is.
So let's roll it.
Let me give you an example of this. If I were to play a drum roll, okay, and let's say, they only recorded, a small number of samples. What you're going to get is what's called a machine gun effect. And what happens is, and I can manipulate this in the software where I make it so it's only pulling from a very small sample pool. In fact, maybe one sample for a specific velocity. And what's great about Superior Drummer too is you have these functions. They're called the humanized functions that actually are just algorithms and just very complex functions built into the software to make it as realistic as possible as far as what you hear. But if I disable those functions, what's interesting is I get this machine gun effect that we've all heard before. Let me show you what that sounds like, and let me explain why that's happening. So on the software, we're going to go ahead and we'll just do this on the snare. Here's the humanized functions. I'm going to go ahead and disable all of them. By the way, I will have a tutorial explaining all of this in far more detail, but we're going to just run through this pretty quickly so you can kind of just get an idea of this technology. So I've disabled all of the humanized functions. So we have this voice and layer section, so that has to do with the sample pools. And it's broken up into soft hits, kind of medium hits, and then loud hits. And currently, actually this isn't as large, we could go a lot higher than this particular setting. For each velocity, for the soft hits, it's at a sample pool of 6. So there's 6 samples that it's pulling from. That's what this means. Again, I'll explain this in a little bit more detail, but I could go higher, but in fact I'm going to go all the way down, one sample for each soft, medium, and soft, gradient, and loud hits. Now we have a nice range, but I'm going to go down to the voice limit, and I'm going to set this down to 1, 2. Voice limit is like polyphony, which on a keyboard, back in the day, I used to have a really small, cheap little keyboard. I had like a 4 or 8 note polyphony. I can't remember exactly, but what that meant, if I were playing chords, I could only play, let's say a 4 note polyphony, I could only play 4 notes at a time. That's all it could handle. If I played any more, it would not fire until I let go of another note, if that makes sense. So obviously, technology's gotten to the point where, the polyphony is so high that it's not even an issue. But that's kind of what the voice limit is. It's kind of like polyphony. So if I'm playing, rolls or things where maybe the decay of one sample, the tail of one sample, maybe if I hit a cymbal or I have a very, a snare with a lot of sustain, as I hit that and then I trigger another sound, samples will overlap. But by turning the voice limit off, it's basically saying do not overlap. Just you have one sample. When I play another one, if there's any overlap, you're going to cut off the previous one so that you can play the most recent, if that makes sense. So let me play a roll here, and I'll do this on the tom as well, just so you can hear and see what this sounds like. And it's pretty interesting to me anyway. Okay, so let's go to the snare drum. Here's a roll. Buzz roll. Okay, and here's floor tom. Let's put the voice limit up a little bit on the floor tom, so you at least don't have that abrupt, those samples getting cut off like I was explaining. Same thing on the snare. I'll bump up the polyphony or voice limit. So it sounds very machine gun-like. And what's happening is, because I'm manipulating the software in a way so that I'm limiting the sample pool, so that's basically firing the same sample over and over. Even though it's a high quality recorded sample of a real drum, our ears are so sensitive that it can sense that the same exact sample is being fired over and over. And our ears are not accustomed to that. So as soon as we hear that, it sounds odd. It's like, that's not right. Something, it doesn't sound natural. So that's why you have to, when you're recording these sample libraries, you have to have that level of detail where you're not only getting recordings of various articulations, which means, center of the snare, edge, rim shot, side stick, rim of the drum, whatever it may be. But you also, and you also want to get various volumes, which will translate into velocity when you're playing. But you have to get, extended sample pool of each of those. So sample after sample after sample of soft notes. So you get all those variations. So what's amazing is what the software does, and you really have to appreciate the programming that goes into this, is that it takes all of that information, all of the samples, and it keeps track of the last one that was played. And it kind of does this round robin and a little bit of randomization, and manipulates the next sample that's fired in a way so that there's a realistic variation to where our ears don't really notice at all that it's just manipulated samples, not even manipulated, but it's just the way that they're firing and the order that they're firing is in such a way that our ears accept it as, or as if I were sitting down at the real drum set. So let's turn these settings back on. Alternate, by the way, has to do with some sample libraries have right and left articulations. This one does not, so alternate isn't going to do anything. In fact, I have a preset here. We'll just load that. It'll be a bit easier. I have quite a few presets. All right. So as soon as this loads, we'll play the snare drum again, and then the floor tom, and you can hear the difference now. So here's the snare drum. Much more realistic. Same with the floor tom. So again, because of the technology and what it's doing with keeping track of the samples and the sample pool that's available, that's how you get these realistic performances utilizing these high quality samples.
Explain something to me. I've always been fascinated and jealous and admiring of the relationship between some of the people you mentioned, but specifically between a drummer and a bass player. I've always looked at them as the foundation of anything rock and roll or music that I like. Is that, from your perspective, do you feel that relationship too as a drummer with the bass player, and how does that affect how you work?
Well, of course, the bass and the drums have to be locked up. But you know what's even more important to me with regard to groove?
What?
Is that rhythm guitar. Because the rhythm guitar is playing the same notes I'm playing on the hi-hat and the same note on the snare drum. So if you got a rhythm guitar player who's rushing, and you know they do, the guitar players, because they got a lot of notes going, they can rush. When you find one that doesn't, like a guy like Tony Iommi from Sabbath, just way in a pot. Joe
Malcolm Young's.
Oh yeah, and Satriani. When I played with Chickenfoot, I went. We did this song called Bigfoot.
Was it Alex playing bass?
What? Michael Anthony.
Michael Anthony, I mean.
Unbelievable bass player. So not to take anything from the bass, but I always focused on bass, but then I started realizing that rhythm guitar player, you know, in Chickenfoot, Satriani's feel was so in the pocket. I wasn't used to that except for like Tony Iommi and a couple other people. Melissa Etheridge, unbelievable, in the pocket. And so I lock up my hi-hat with that. Bass player usually, they just follow the drummer real tight. It's done. The whole thing is done. It's like you've just created the cake. Now all you have to do is decorate it. You know, it's just, you know.
Just so I can gather my faculties, because I feel like I'm at a concert. I need intermission. Charles, do you have?
We do.
Please.
We do. I'll take over from here.
Thank you.
This first is from Dan Hanna. What piece of advice would you give an up-and-coming drummer in today's world that you wish you would have gotten?
Well, that's a good question, because, you know, when I started, there was nobody giving me any advice in rock and roll, because it was all new.
Yeah.
You know, it was like classical music. And now, that's one thing. The other thing that's complicated about when you say music and today, the business is so changed from, you know, the great years of, you know, late 60s up until 2008 or whatever, where people were selling records. So when a business is selling product, a lot of money is made. There's money to spread out and invest in new bands and studios, everything, every aspect of the business. There's money. So, and then from my end, there was an opportunity to make a name for yourself, get into a band, you know, sessions, drum clinic tours, live tours, work with a band to make a record. If that doesn't do good, then we'll make another one. And then there's money to invest in a third record, and then all of a sudden, we make it. All of that's gone.
Yeah.
It's all gone, because nobody's buying records, so if there's no records being, you know, sold, there's no income coming in to support that business model. Yeah. So what I tell musicians, drummers, definitely do it. Play the instrument, because music is so valuable if you don't even make a penny. Music, it's been proven that music and sports will help people have a more well-rounded education. It helps them with studying math, science, and English history. They've proven it. There's a school in Calgary that is the #1 school, you know, grades kindergarten till 12 years old, 12th grade, #1 every year, because they emphasize the sports and the music, being it a team type of thing where you learn to interact and play. But so the joy that you get out of playing music is so valuable that I encourage people to definitely play an instrument, play in a band, regardless if that becomes your income flow. Even if you have to get 2 day jobs to play music, I say have that as part of your life. If you can make a living doing it, then even better.
You know what? Tell me if you think this is true, both of you. I mean, we've all played. My parents made me play.
What was your instrument? Drums?
I played piano.
Piano, right? You said that.
And probably took 6 years of it. So I find that when you play an instrument, not only do you learn yourself, and you can push yourself. You can, you
Yeah.
get a sense. You can judge yourself along the way. You can choose to improve or give whatever the case may be. And then you learn, particularly in bands and working in studios and other kinds of stuff, even if you're playing around in the garage, you also learn teamwork.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of the few things that you sort of get your solo self together and your team self together. Does that make sense?
Totally.
I feel better. Kenny agreed with me. Give me another question.
Totally. And not only that, but you were saying that, the big thing is that you learn so much about yourself. And you learn what discipline is and hard work. You want to get better? You have to practice. I have this thing in my 7 ways to be successful, RPS, which is repetition of anything is the preparation for success.
Yes, indeed.
Hello?
Yes, indeed. Bingo.
This one's from our own Cam Johnson. What are the sonic qualities you look for in a drum kit?
What's the sonic qualities I look for in a drum
That's
kit?
from our drummer intern dude that you saw.
Oh, from Cam?
Yeah.
Cam's
Well,
cheating.
Cam, if you give me $10,000, I'll tell you all about it. No. Well, the thing is that what I do is, I try to get as much tone out of a drum kit. You have to decide what you're trying to get, what that tone is. In other words, if you play a drum with a certain amount of power to make that drum speak at its fullest, that's one thing. You can also overplay certain drums where they choke because you've put too much power into it where it kind of compresses the sound. Or you can play the drum too lightly and you're getting just the head sound and not enough of the whole shell. Because the heads, you hear this head, it kind of goes down and pushes air into this head goes down and pushes up, pushes into this head, and this goes up and it goes like this. And you get this, makes the shell and the heads all ring. So I listen to the drum and see if I'm hitting it to get the sound quality I want. And then when I'm recording, of course, then it gets into mics and I talk to the engineer. Sometimes I may go to a more sensitive sound where I tell the engineer, turn the preamps down, turn them up, get the signal greater, I'm gonna hit lighter, and that's a whole nother sound because you get this richness and fullness. So, and the same applies to the cymbals. You have to listen and work with your hands, the sticks, every part of what you do. You're tuning to get the sound that you want.
What engineers, who are your engineers that you love working with that really understand how to get stuff out of Kenny?
He's the best engineer in this whole table.
I'll prove I'm not. Why are all drums round?
You know what? Where'd you find this guy?
I mean, really, right? What law says they have to be round?
He's starting to make me. Is he like Einstein? He can't tie his shoelaces.
But the theory of relativity, he's got that.
You're the type of guy I like to hang out with.
You know what, though, Kenny? All kidding aside, some people hit the drum and some people play the drum. Yeah. And I've always respected you because you play the drum.
Yeah.
You don't just beat a drum. That's not the point. You play the drum, and it's an instrument. And it has a tone. It has a response. Absolutely. It has just like any other instrument.
Well, the reason I pose the question is I know periodically you work with Ross.
Oh yeah.
And he just
great engineer.
But he has the same kind of passion you do, sort of big, full-flavored, rich-bodied guy.
And he's inspirational.
And he's
like Kenny.
is, yeah. And I imagine when you guys get together, because you guys were successful on the Melissa Etheridge record that got judged as a pretty big deal.
Yeah, right? And then the Mellencamp, we did a Mellencamp record together, at least one, I think. But yeah, the Melissa thing got judged, yeah.
When you had to switch up and kind of do your Charlie Watts After Taxes version, Mellencamp asked you to do, tell us about that. Didn't you have to learn how to...
Well, he didn't... He sometimes tries to take credit for teaching me how to play drums. He threw at me to play like Charlie Watts. Listen to Charlie Watts. Because I was trying to...
That ain't easy, is
No.
it? Yeah.
I was trying to... Well, first of all, I didn't even understand I'm like, what? I'm thinking technique, Billy Cobham. Right. What's this? Ringo Starr, Charlie Watts, whatever. Right. And then I realized they had style, they had musicality, they had a personality that everything was built around them. Mm-hmm. It was deep, man, way deeper than I ever recognized. And I've played next to both of them. I played double drums with Ringo, and then I was in 2 weeks in the studio with the Stones doing Bridges to Babylon, and prior to that, 3 recordings with Charlie Watts playing drum set, and I was playing percussion with Jim Keltner.
You're kidding.
And I watched, and I went, whoa, whoa, whoa. Up close was a whole nother thing.
Wow.
Simple, musical, unpredictable. I went, it'd be like if somebody threw a line across a white canvas, you go, what the heck? And you go, wait a minute, that is deep. Something about that person, even if it's a simple stroke, made something very, very special, and there's something about it. Charlie Watts is that kind of drummer. So what you're talking about, John told me this in Charlie Watts. I realized after watching him that he did this thing where he would lift off the hi-hat when he hit the snare drum on 2 and 4. And it creates a different, because if you do that, the other is you come down on 1, 2, 3, and 4. You can't do that if you're lifting off on 2 and 4. So I went, I find authority, authority always win. And I find authority, authority always win. That's what I did on that.
Okay.
He even did tom fills.
We have the coolest job in the history of jobs. Like, oh my God! And one of the things we take great pride in is we've created an award show. We're in the planning of the 4th one. On our 3rd one, through Ross, we celebrated the guitar, and Phil X came out and absolutely ripped it.
Is he amazing?
And I saw you played with Phil recently at the bowling alley or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Isn't he an amazing dude?
Oh, ridiculous.
But the two of you together.
Oh, the energy between the both of us?
Whew.
I know.
The video just like, I have to send you that. It's amazing, amazing.
I love his stuff, the drills.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
man.
Exactly. All right, man, this is a two-parter. So, the author-educator side of you, which is a big space for us, we put a lot of chips in on education. We have probably about 150, 160 schools who use the show as curriculum, which is
awesome.
amazing. We go around and speak a lot to folks, and we find that there's learners of all ages. They're not all in school. The Weekend Warrior wants to be a learner. You put a lot of chips in on this. Your series is really successful. Give us the cliff notes of what it is and why it's important for people to know it. What's it called? And tell us about it.
Well, I wrote this book, my Sex, Drums, Rock and Roll, my autobiography. Somebody actually talked me into doing it. That cover I changed the day it was supposed to be handed in. It was not in black and white. But anyway, my point is that, so I didn't want to write the book because I didn't have time. It took 4 years. Co-writer Jake Brown, fantastic. In the end, I had to step in and work hard at trying to make it sound like me. So I touched every page because I had to sound like me. And it does. So that's the beauty. But that's why I didn't want to do it, because I had a feeling it was going to take a lot of work. But what happened was it made me go back and look at my life, and I don't really like to spend time looking back. I always look forward. Like, what am I going to do next? So it made me have to go back and really research, and thank God I had kept calendars just to know where I'm supposed to be since 1977 until now.
Wow.
I found them. I found them, and I could say,
Did you publish them?
No, but it gave me the information. So what I realized, I didn't pick these things. They are what I do. 7 ways to rock your life and career. It's the Kenny Aronoff experience. I mean, it's like, that's what I call it now. There's 7 things that I feel is what made me successful and has kept me successful, but they're the same 7 things that apply to anything. You mentioned it. Doesn't matter if it's sports, raising a family.
Yes, indeed.
Same things. These are things that, if taken seriously, will make you a successful person at whatever you want to be successful at. And nobody can deny these things. Number 1, self-discipline. Self-discipline is doing something you don't necessarily want to do, but it gets you the results you want. You make yourself do something to get the result. I made myself study chemistry. I know you could do it in your sleep, but I had to make myself study that page, not like just went through it like I used to. Study it, learn it, to get an A in chemistry. And once you learn self-discipline once, you can apply it to everything else in life, and I did. Number 2, hard work, which is a given, fueled by passion and education, which you have to keep learning. I found music as something I was willing to work hard at, Working hard is a given. It's like a vehicle. It's transportation through life. Getting a car to go somewhere, getting a plane to go somewhere, walk to go somewhere. Hard work gets you somewhere. If you expect to be successful by being lazy and entitled, you won't make it. And you're a loser in my mind. Because what's happening then is that when you don't do anything, it's like a math equation. 0 equals 0. You do nothing, you get nothing. And if you're not taking care of yourself, that means somebody else will take care of you, and that's not right. That's right. Not if you're capable. All right, so hard work fueled by passion with discipline. Third thing is create a plan that you execute to reach your goal. So a lot of people have ideas, but they don't know what to do with it. You gotta take steps, man. Make a phone call every day. Do something. Have you done something to execute your plan every day? Talk to people, research, internet. No excuse now, because the internet, every day you just keep doing it. And it's one step at a time. And if you think that it's just gonna fall out of the sky, it ain't. And you don't be disappointed if something takes a year or 2 years or 3 years or 4 years, 5 years or a lifetime. That's just the way it is.
Yes.
That's just the way it is.
That's right.
The fourth thing, teamwork, communication skills, and that's what we were talking about, the ability to get along with people. Why Kenny Aronoff? Why not that drummer? Why is that guy, I hear that, why does Kenny get all the work? I'm not the best drummer in the world. Part of it is my ability to get along with people. I listen, I learn, I lead because I'm the drummer, but I'm not the boss. I work for somebody. I understand that position in life. I work for somebody. I have to be able to, no matter what, I work for them. I have to be able to get along and be a team player. So Don Was, a very, very successful producer, has said over and over again, he says, man, I want Kenny in the room with me. I want him on stage with me. This guy not only is a great player, he motivates the room. He makes the other musicians play better. All these type of things are part of being a team player, good communicator. I mean, that's why Bill Belichick and the Patriots, with a 21-3 deficit and a half in the Super Bowl, came back and won. Because he picked team players. When he told them in the locker room, not you guys suck, but okay, here's what we're gonna do. They're like, okay, sure.
Let's do it.
Because he's been working with them as a team for 365 days a year. They understand it. Okay, 5, RPS, repetition of anything that's a preparation for success. Great example, Jason Day, golfer, PGA tournament golfer, practice 6 hours a day, 7 days a week, 2 hours on the putt, 2 hours on the chip shot, 2 hours on the drive. When he won 7 PGA tournaments in 10 months last year. They asked him, how do you do this? He says, I practice 6 hours a day, 7 days a week. Still practices. The thing that got him where he is, he continues to do. That's a big one. A lot of people think, I've made it. You've only made it for 1 second.
You know who else was like that? Not to interrupt you.
Who?
Michael Jackson.
Oh, yeah.
On weekends, he'd get in front of the mirror
that.
on a Sunday in his 30s and his 40s.
I believe
practice
that.
all that stuff. That's what makes it great.
That's what makes somebody that's how you stay on your game.
Yeah.
The other day I got this show at the Baked Potato on Saturday, Kenny and Friends, and I got so much going on. I practiced for 8 hours to run through all the songs and write charts, and because it's my show, and it was midnight, and I decided to do another half hour of my functional practice routine. I watch Netflix while I'm doing it, but I have this specific exercise with both my hands and feet going at the same time that is designed to make me sound good the way I play today. And I did it at the end because I went, why not? I got to do this. So I wake up tomorrow playing better than if I didn't do it. All right, the sixth thing is a big one. Healthy life is a wealthy life. And there are 8 steps to this. Look, if you're not mentally, physically, or emotionally healthy, everything I spoke about is useless. It's gone.
Yeah, that's right.
You're injured, you can't perform, you can't operate. Mental, physical, and emotional health is very, 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 very important. And I have 8 steps. I don't have to go into them now, but there are 8 steps. And finally, the 7th one is very, very key about today, and that is staying focused and relevant. The world is changing so fast. For me to have the career I have, I've had to make big changes and adjustments all along the way. And that has made me relevant. I didn't want to get my own studio, but the budgets went. I was living in Indiana. I had to get an apartment out here. Then I moved out here. And then I got a studio out here to be able to keep doing sessions. When I leave here, I'm going to do 3 songs. I did 4 yesterday. And if I didn't have my own studio, it wouldn't be affordable. And going into the big rooms, as you well know, very expensive.
That's right.
So, and writing a book, and I start my second book tomorrow, which is going to be the 7 ways to rock your life and career. And speaking is part of me being relevant.
Yes.
It really is. It's like me going out there. Not only am I reminding myself what I do to stay successful, what I did to become successful, I'm preaching to myself, but I'm sharing it with other people to inspire them, and I perform and I entertain. I perform. Yeah, it's fantastic.
I'm taking notes on this.
Do you want to do Batter's Box? Does it live up to? Yeah, we got to.
Okay.
We got to. All right, so since we're athletic and healthy and competitive and disciplined, this is Batter's Box.
I got
Treat him as a pitcher.
special Batter's Box
You're
from
with
a man.
who's your favorite baseball team?
Baseball team?
Yeah.
He's from Boston.
Well, Red Sox, but I love the Yankees too.
Okay, cool. You can be Boston. You can be Red Sox. Oh, that's sacrilege. I'm not.
Yeah, I played on Bernie Williams' record, and I
cool.
played on Bronson Arroyo.
Oh, really? Nice.
Took some pitches from him. Was a big mistake.
Whoa.
65 miles an hour curveballs. You don't know if they're going to go left, right, down, or up. And I caught one right there.
Ooh,
Not pretty.
Not pretty. All right, knock him out of the box.
So I have to answer fast, right?
You answer whatever. Yeah. Hit him
One or
hard.
2 words. You ready?
Here we
One or
go.
2 words.
Roll it.
Eddie Shaughnessy or Buddy Rich?
Buddy Rich.
Oh, he's good, Herm.
bat
Drum
speed.
machines.
They're okay.
Snare Mike.
Did you say snare mic? Mm-hmm. Well, sure 57.
Bastard. Health.
Healthy life is a wealthy life.
Yes, indeed.
Hi-hats.
It's 15-inch newbies. Zildjian.
Double kick drums.
The pedal.
I'll take either one. Double pedal or double drum?
I think double drums sound better.
Quantizing.
Try to avoid.
Click track.
Love them.
If your studio caught fire, what piece of gear would you rescue first?
Studio gear.
Yeah.
Oh, most expensive preamp or mic. Isn't that weird? Didn't say drum.
Well, that's what made it so cool, actually.
I give up. He won.
You are a very busy man, as are we, and we respect that. We have been authorized by our audience, and it's such a pleasure that sometimes we'll go to different cities and put panels together and bring in super killers. And because of the success of the show and just the great attention of our audience, we'll have 1,000, 1,500 people show up. And we often we have these events for free. And we often give away gear at recording studios. We think that it's what they have given us, we feel like we need to give back.
That's awesome.
And it is generally our pleasure and our mission to try to bring them really great people that they can't get to.
Right.
Could we ever reach out to you if your schedule permitted
Yeah.
and bring you to something and they will go, well, here's the thing. I'm just going to make this promise now. If we get him on a panel, I'm not doing a panel. I'm going to sit out front as an audience member and just listen and enjoy.
I would be honored. I'd love to do that. I mean, that's I enjoy doing it.
And we want to help push your book and make sure people let us know about your seminars where you're appearing. We will push that on our social media channel. This is why it is a pleasure and an honor to be part of doing what we all do for a living. I'm including you in that. Sometimes you sit next to greatness and you realize what greatness is really made of. And what's ultimately made of is beyond the talent, or people in their heart have just a different elevated way of being. You've been blessed. That's the only way you can say it. So honored.
Thank you.
So
Awesome.
honored. This is just the first. DP, take us home if you can.
This is going to be the shortest one ever. Success is no accident. You just learned the formula. Are you willing to try?
Yeah, good one.
See you next week.
Kenny Aronoff.